Welcome, everyone. We are so excited that you're here. My name is Shelley Lansford, and I'm a digital learning specialist in Birdville ISD. And today we have joining us Christine Thompson, secondary social studies coordinator for Birdville ISD, and she is going to share some amazing things that you can do with Google Slides.
Thank you, Shelley. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a hands-on presentation, so I'm going to say again, if you would open a second tab and open your Google Drive, that will have you ready to get started. I am the secondary social studies coordinator for Birdville ISD, and this is my 11th year in the district. Prior to being the coordinator, I've been an academic coach. I've for a very short period of time, been a campus administrator, and before that, I taught 8th through 12th social studies in a variety of subjects and a variety of levels, inclusion, pre-AP, AP, and on level. So today's objectives, I'm going to show you a simple process for creating digital manipulatives. It is simple, but it has a lot of steps. So I'm going to let you know ahead of time that you're going to be like, really, this is simple. There are a lot of steps, but once you've done it once or twice, it'll come to you very easily. I was telling Shelley, I kind of see this as a low tech, high tech way to do this, in that there's probably an app that does some of the same things and does it differently and maybe even better. But what I wanted for my teachers was a way to create these without having to learn a new tech app. So this is something that we have a lot of experience with Google. We have a variety of levels of experience with Google Slides. So that's why I wanted to use something that teachers already knew. So we're going to follow an I do, you do process. So I'll show you a few steps and then have you do it yourself. And so whenever we leave this session, you should have an example of one of these for yourself, as well as I'm going to give you a how-to document at the end that you can use later. If we have time, I'll also show you a few of the manipulatives that I've created in order to maybe spark some creativity. Let me add a couple. Looks like we got a couple more people coming in, so let me admit them. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So our very first step is we're going to create what I'm calling here a sandbox. I'm borrowing a term from our digital learning specialist and one that we use a lot with Canvas, but really by that, I just mean we're going to create a Google Slides presentation that is separate from the slide that we're going to share with our kids. So if you'll go over into your Google Slides, I've got to find my Google Slides. I've got so many things that I've got open here. Sorry. Going over to my drive, go over to my Google Drive, and I'm going to create a new Google Slides presentation. And I'm going to call this Sandbox for Empower Ed. Okay, so that is the first step, is to create that Google Slides presentation. Now, depending on what you want to do with this, the next thing, obviously, we're going to take out the background. We're going to come over here to Slide, Apply Layout, and we're going to make it blank because we don't need the kind of setup that you need whenever you're doing a presentation for students. You really just need a blank slide that you can use as a place to work. And then I'll tell you that you can adjust the size of this slide. If you're just using it online, working in the widescreen that it has here works great. If you're going to also print it, there's a way to adjust it, and that's going to be in that how-to document on how to adjust the size to make it print the size that a print would be, at 7.5 by 10 or 10 by 7.5. Any questions so far?
We are doing good. We're still having a couple participants join, so I'm just reminding them in the chat to go ahead and open up the Google Drive and follow along.
Okay, so for those that are just now joining, all I've done is create a new Google Slides presentation. And that's what we're going to be working in. So if you would all now take that step. So I've done it. If you have not yet done it, if you'll go ahead and create a new Google Slides presentation, go over to slide, apply layout, and choose blank so that you have a blank presentation to work from. So if you would give me a thumbs up whenever you have completed that step. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Really the easiest step that we're going to have. If anybody has, yeah, awesome. Thank you, Chanda. Um, I was going to tell you all, I'm coming to you live from my sick bed. I'm waiting on some COVID-19 results. So if I sound a little stopped up, that's what's going on. I'm not doing all that great right now, but I really appreciate you all joining me anyway. Okay, so let's come back over here to the presentation. We'll look at that next step. Okay, so our next step is going to be, we created a blank slide, like I said in the presentation, in the how-to at the end of the presentation. It's going to tell you how to resize. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to insert some instructions. And I've said you'll be glad you did this first. And the reason why is because it's going to take up part of the space on your slide. So I'm going to come here to insert a text box. And I'm just going to type some very basic instructions to kids. So, instructions, drag the cards to match each. And I know what I'm going to be doing with this. So I'm going to country with its description and image. So I know which one I'm making for you all, but you guys can create any generic kind of instructions that you want for this step. So if you would go ahead and do that step as well, create a text box. And then within that text box, put in the instructions that your students will need. And really, it's about deciding right here whether you want to do a two-way match, like a term with its definition, or whether you want to do a three-way match, like I'm doing with a country, its description, and its image. It really depends on the depth of thinking that you're going to ask kids to do. If you would give me again a thumbs up to let me know that you got that done and you're good. Awesome. Okay. I don't see anybody not telling me thumbs up. And you know that there's a little thumbs up guy down in the corner for those of you guys who aren't sharing your screen or aren't sharing your image. There's a little thumbs up guy down there as well. Awesome. Okay. So our next step, we're going to add a table. So here's again where we have to decide if we're going to do a two-way match, three-way match. We're going to insert a table and then we're going to position it and create some headers. And I put down here as my last note that we're going to use color to help students, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to insert, coming up here to insert, going to table. I'm doing a three-way match of three things for my example here. So now I've got this table. I'm gonna, oh, goodness gracious. Gotta love it when it doesn't work with you, right? I'm gonna select my table and I'm gonna resize it. But that's why it's good that I have my instructions up there, because it tells me how far up I can really go without creating problems for my instructions. You also have to consider when you're making your size, how big your cards are going to be. So think about the cards that would fit inside of this particular chart. I need to leave space to put those cards over here to the left or to the top, whichever one you want to do. So now that I've got that table in there, now that I've got it resized and I've got it positioned out of the way of the things that I know I'm going to put there, now I'm going to create some headers and I'm going to use text boxes to do that. Like I said, I know what mine are going to be. I'm going to create one for country. And then I'm going to create a text box for description. Nice if I could spell that. And then I'm going to create a text box here for image. Okay. So I'm going to teach you guys, if you don't know this one, I'm going to teach you one of my time savers, which is shift click or shift. It's what I call multi-select. So shift click. So I've chosen country. I'm not going to shift and click on description, shift and click on image. So I can do the same things to them all at the same time. So I'm going to make them bold. I'm going to center them. Now, what I mean by using color is that if you make your headers a certain color and then you can make your cards that same color, it'll help kids know where to sort each thing. So my header here, I'm going to make it blue. So I can make blue cards for this. I'm going to make my header here green. So I can make green cards for that one. Then I'm going to make the header here orange. And I do blue, green, and orange so often because those are the 3 colors that our high schools have. So it tends to be my school colors tend to be the way I go with that. Okay, any questions about anything so far? I know you're going to need a few more minutes to do this one.
None in the chat so far. Great tip on selecting them all so you can format them all at the same time. Does that shift click, does that work on a Chromebook and on a regular desktop computer?
I don't know for sure, and that's why I kind of do that whole. There are several things like Control C, Control V that I use a lot. That I don't know about using it on a Chromebook. Does anyone use a Chromebook and know whether they can do those things?
Yeah, if you're using one, pipe in, let us know.
Okay, when you're done with this step, if you'll give me the thumbs up and let me know, we'll move on to the next step. I got some thumbs up here. Anyone need me to wait? Just let us know in chat, or you can unmute and say, hold on just a second. Okay. Looks like I've got a lot of thumbs up and I don't have anybody throwing up a stop sign at me, so we'll keep going. All right. So our next step is going to be to create our cards. And the way that we do that, oh, wait. What do we got in the chat, Shelly?
We did have some people verify for us that it does, the keystrokes do work on a Chromebook.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's great. That's good news. All right. Okay, so we're going to create a text box that fits one of the cells, and then we're going to copy that text book to create a first column and row, and then copy that column or row to create others. So if that shift click works for you, it's going to save you some time in this step for sure. So we're going to create a text box in this case, I'm going to go with country here, and I'm going to make a text box to fit that first square. And like I said before, I'm going to make it blue so that it can be to tell those kids where they're going to put things. So I'm going to copy that one and paste it. When you drag it, when you've got it in just the right spot, it'll have these crosshairs on it. Oh, I said that, now it's not doing it. Trying to make a liar out of me. Thanks, Google. And then, like I said, if you'll do that shift click, oh, I accidentally moved that guy. Fix that. So shift click, you can select all 3, copy and paste it, and move it into that second column. That'll save you some time. And since I know I'm going to use images for that third one, Again, I'm going to recolor these guys to green so that they match that header. And since I know I'm going to use images for that third column, I'm not going to make a copy into that third column. I'm not going to make cards for that because I'm going to use images in that column. Does that make sense? Are we good? Okay, so I'll give you a second to catch up with me. Just like I said, let me know when you get there. You're definitely not in the magic yet. I know that so far it's pretty standard stuff, but there are a couple of things that are at least kind of fun toward the end there. I'm starting to get my thumbs up here. If we're able to do that step, okay. Thank you, Janaya. Thank you, Julia, Chanda. Does anyone still need a little bit longer? Again, you can unmute. There's few enough of us if you just need to let me know to hold off for just a second more. Shelly,
Yes.
can I still share? Nothing like being kicked out in the middle of your own presentation, right?
Did you get it? I'm
Yeah, I
still.
did. Can you guys see?
Yes. I
Awesome.
can. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. Okay. So I was saying we're going to enter our terms, our definitions, those sorts of things now. So I know that I'm doing the countries of North America, so I'm going to put those in here. Always good if you spell Canada correctly. Again, I'm going to use that shift click to multi-select and format my cards here. And since we're just, for these purposes, I won't do what I do with kids, but I'll show you what one might look like with kids later because I've done this one as an example before. So, but for today, I'll just do something easy. So we'll go some of the things that they might, or actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do some physical features. So we'll go with Peninsula. We'll go with Canadian Shield, which is a dead giveaway, obviously. We'll go with the Appalachian Mountains. So we've got something the kids will need to match. Again, using that shift click here to format them all at the same time. And then, so is everything okay? Everybody with me still okay? Awesome. Okay. So then I'm going to add those images. So if you're adding images as one of the things your kids are matching, you're going to crop or size your images to fit the table. And you're going to want to add a note to students about resizing, because I don't care how many times you've said, blow it up, take it back down. You know, anytime that you're going to ask them to do it, you're going to want to add some sort of note. So I'm going to go ahead right now and add my note, which is to remember you can resize the images for easier viewing. In to fit in. Okay, so I've got that little note to my kids already over there. And I'm going to insert my images. So got these saved in my pictures. I've got Mexico. I'm going to drag it over there and size it to fit. And Canada. And the US. Okay, so they all fit perfectly. Okay, any questions about any of that? Again, we're in the most simple parts of these, so I don't really expect that I'm going to throw you, but I figure I better check before we move on.
We are good in the chat and good to move on unless they want to come off mute and ask.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so now it starts to get a little more exciting. Okay, so now we're going to drag those cards out, and we are going to stack them. So we're going to take them out in a random order. And this is where we have to use some magic here, which is we got to go arrange, bring to front, because whenever you pull them out of there, they're going to stay in the order that you made them. So for instance, if I pull out the United States first over here, and then I stack Mexico on top of it, you'll see that the United States stays on top because it was the last card I made. So that's why we use that arrange, order, bring to front, and that randomizes the order of these cards. So it's like shuffling up the cards for your kids. Okay. Okay, so now you have these cards ready for kids to drag in. So that's what we've done here. And again, those little lines help us know when we've got everything aligned. Are we good with that? Again, if you'll give me a thumbs up when you're ready to move to the next step, I'll be happy to do that.
Christine, we did have some people just join, so you might want to just do a quick review of where we are.
Okay. Okay, so what we have done so far is we have created a little sandbox, a little area to work in. We've put in our instructions, made ourselves a chart, color coded that chart, and made um, cards within the chart. We drew text boxes within the chart in order to create cards that we've now drug out and stacked in order in a random order using arrange spring to front. So the kids are ready to sort those into that chart. But we're about to do the kind of unique part, and of course, at the end, I'm going to share a how-to document that reviews the whole purpose or the whole process for you. Okay, and we've done this in a I do, you do standpoint. So the people that have been here for the whole session um, have completed these steps with me as well. Okay, so are we ready to move on to the next step? If anybody doesn't yell at me or type it in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and move on and do the next thing. All right, looks like we're good. All right, so now here are kind of the fancy steps. So now we're going to make it so that the students can only move what we want them to, meaning that we're going to make it where they cannot move the background. They can't accidentally drag away the instructions. All they can move are those stacks of cards. So we're going to make a duplicate slide, and then we're going to delete the stack of cards on the new slide. And then we're going to download just that background, the instructions and the chart as a JPEG that we'll then use as a background for a new slide. So it basically nails that stuff down so that they can't move it. So we're going to first come back over in our sandbox. We're going to right click on the slide over here on the left column and click on duplicate slide. And it's going to make an exact copy of what we already had. And then we're going to highlight our stacks of cards and delete those out. Okay, so now what we've got is just the background stuff, the stuff that we don't want kids to be able to move. So with this slide, this second slide with no cards in it, still highlighted, we're going to come up here to File, go to Download, and go to JPEG. And you'll see that down at the bottom, it has created a little JPEG download. So I'll give you a second to do those steps.
Christine, Terry gave us a great tip about this as well in the chat. She said you can also make a master by going to View Master and place the info there.
Nice.
I don't know, Terry, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. If you go to view and then to master, then you can just either replace one of the masters that are there, depending on how many you want to make for the slide. Or you can, just go to master, or you can use that blank one at the bottom. And just put whatever info you want there that the kids can't drag. And then when you go over to the plus sign, you can just add that slide over.
Nice. Okay, so
it's easier than taking the picture.
Nice. Okay. Well, this is the way that that I was taught. So you've taught me something. Great. That's wonderful. So you said that there's a plus sign here.
Over where you insert the link, the little plus sign on the far left, the little arrow next to it is where you would go to insert your master into your slides.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to show you. Yeah. So then you would be able to do that. Oh, that's great. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue on from where I was, but that is a great hint, and I'll use it going forward. All right. Hopping back over here. So we have saved our JPEG. I tend to open them and rename them so that I have them, so I can recognize what it is that I've saved them as. So I'm just going to put this as like 3 country sort. That helps me because I make so many of these for teachers. So, and then what you would do is you would then come back over here to my presentation. Start a new Google slide presentation, name it whatever you want it to go to kids. So the name of the actual assignment that you'll use with kids. and then remove the slide layout. Again, we're gonna make it a blank slide, and then click on slide, change background, and insert the JPEG. So that's the way that you can use that method that we've been working on. So new Google Slides. I'm going to call this North America Country Sort. Spell. I'm going to make it a blank slide by going to Slide, Apply Layout, Blank. And then I'm going to go to Slide, Change Background, choose the image, and I'm going to choose that download that we just made so that it becomes the background for this slide. So there it is in the background. Now kids can't accidentally move your chart. You can't move anything other than the cards. So if you'll work through those steps, again, you'll create a new slide. We'll go to Slide, Apply Layout, and erase the background, add a name for that slide, and then File, and then Slide, change background, and choose that image. Can I get a thumbs up that everybody's ready to move to the last step? Because we really are, we're in the home stretch now. Awesome. Okay. So now we're just going to copy over the cards from the original slide. We can insert some text boxes if you had any open responses. So let's say instead of image over here, we had the kids create a hashtag, or we had them justify why they matched those two together, or we had them explain something, then we would want to insert some text boxes over here because they don't have automatic text boxes in place to type. So that would be the one thing that we could also do in this last slide if we wanted to. So let's come back over here, pick up our cards. Again, I'm going to draw a box around those cards to select them all. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to come back over into this new slideshow that's got the nailed down background and move my cards in. So now I'm ready to share this with my kiddos. Are we good to move to the very last part here? I'll share that how-to document with y'all as well whenever we get to the end there. Awesome. Looks like I've got a lot of thumbs up. Yep. Okay. Sounds great. Okay. So I bet you guys did know this, but just in case you didn't know this, when you go to share it with kids, you can take out, I'm going to get that shareable link. I'm going to go to copy that link. When we copy the link, if we will, when we copy the link, delete the part that comes, ooh, why is it not letting me do it? I'm going to pull it over here. I'm going to create a spot for it. My speaker notes. I'm going to create that. I'm going to show you that link. If you'll delete the part after the slash here and replace it with copy, that is the way that you make it so that students have to make a copy of it, so that they can't really manipulate the original that you've created, and that they have to make their own copy to work in. So everything after that slash, if you replace it with copy. Yes, forcing a copy link is very important. So coming back into my presentation here. Okay. So we went through a lot of this. We were able to do the process. We did the I do, you do. I said I would show you some of the things that I've created in here so that you have some examples. So Here's a three-way sort on classifications of money, where you can see that that there are pictures as the third slide. There's one that here on political systems where there's a three-way match as well. This one's one with locations in the Revolutionary War. Here's multiple vocabulary words. Here's one, and it had to be reformatted so it doesn't quite look the same as it did before, but you can see it has that hashtag as one of the options. Three-way sort here. There's one that I'm looking for to show you guys with there it is, with a timeline. They had to put in the policy, the impact, and the picture into a timeline. This one is one where it's an event and how, and this is going to be a text box for kids to explain how one event led to another event, led to another event. So this is a space for kids to actually type in their explanation to it. So I hope that helps you all kind of see how that fits. Again, I'm going to share this how-to document with you. Actually, that's the next thing that we're going to do is get that how-to document to you. So I'm going to come back over here. I'll get you that link, and I'll put that in the chat. Oops, I'm editing the link and not copying the link. There we go. Copy the link. There we go. Let's get in that chat and share that with y'all. That you have all of those steps. There we go. Of course, somehow I copied it right into my document too. There we go. And then of course, my email address is there. I'll put that in the chat as well for you. If you have any questions, or if you'd like a copy of any of the ones that I just showed, I can certainly send that out to you all as well. And obviously, because they did such a nice thing for me in creating this, I have to share with you that this slide presentation was created using the template from Slides Carnival, these cute little monsters. And so here's my little mini commercial for Slides Carnival. They let me make my own monsters. So pretty much most exciting thing about my day-to-day, playing with little monsters. So any questions for me? Anything that I can do for y'all before I let you go? Wow. I missed.
Sorry, yes, I do have a question.
Oh, great.
This is Helen. I'd like for you to repeat how we can force a copy.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so whenever you have your presentation ready for kids, and you click on that share,
yes,
and you copy the link, then whenever you go into your Canvas or whatever it is that you're using to share it with kids, and you copy out the link, just delete everything after that slash where it starts edit.
Yes, I see.
And put the word copy there, and that'll create a link that whenever kids click on that link, I'll show you if it'll let me.
Yes.
So if they open that link, let's see if I can kind of highlight and copy that link. So that when they open that link, it's going to tell them, would you like to make a copy of it? And so they make their own copy that they work in, and they don't mess with the original.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
There you go.
That was clear.
Any other questions? Shelley, is there anything in the chat?
There is nothing in the chat right now. It looks like we are about to wrap up. But again, if anybody does have questions, please come off mute and ask. I do want to thank you all for joining us for Empowered 2020 Day 1. Please remember to fill out the attendance sheet. I have placed that link in the chat. You will receive a certificate of participation. If you don't see it in your inbox within about 20 minutes of filling that out, go ahead and check your spam folder or your junk folder. And please do reach back out to Empowered if you're not getting that certificate of participation. Remember, we'll have more sessions tomorrow at the same time, and you can see the schedule on the Empowered 20 page on the website. This session and all sessions are being recorded, and this session will be available starting this Friday. Christine, thank you so much for sharing how to make that quick interactive Google slide and the lovely tips that we had. We want to thank Terry for giving us a shout out on another way to do something. She's helping us learn as well. If you don't have any other questions, we'll keep the Zoom open for a little bit in case you want to stay after and have some specific questions for Christine. But if you have no questions, we welcome you. Thank you for coming and hope you have a wonderful day. And we hope to see you tomorrow in an empowered session for day 2.